Video is about Veteran Service Commission. It took place on the 7th of January 2021. This elder is a problem. She's been there way too long not to know the ways of things. If the video didn't capture it, I'll reiterate what took place at the end.
You have to have it if you're not asking for rent.
Yeah, because. Yeah.
It may not reach in the time, so don't spend that additional money. You're at 50%.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
That was
you're
the
around
purpose.
905.
You don't pay rent.
Nope. My voucher covers it.
Whatever the difference is, they're gonna have to send that back. They're probably gonna come back and say you have an overpayment. Yes.
Okay, this is for you. And while you're here, I need you to sign and date this. This is a release of information of the stuff they talked about, electric company, gas company,
Okay.
I need you to print your name at the top and then sign and date it down there. Hey, Cindy, does she need a landlord statement if she's not asking for rent? No. Okay.
Common sense. So check this out. This is what happened. As soon as I sat down, we're going over this checklist. Let me show you the checklist. And right after I told her that, AMHA covers my rent, she was like, well, we're still going to need that landlord statement. She said it about 10 times. And I said, that's how I've been getting screwed over anyhow. I said, why would you need that type of information if she handed me the form and everything, like insisting that this is the way that it has to be. And I told her, I said, well, why? If I don't pay rent and, my voucher covers it. And that's when she said, so I read over it. I read over the fine print of the form that she gave me. And I was like, yeah, this is not what I'm asking for. She was like, okay, well, I'll double check and make sure. But she was a little aggravated because she didn't have much to mark off, so she literally just almost tried to insist that I was asking for something like I didn't have a place to stay, in so many words.
Just tell them that I didn't realize. The idea is it's scanned in and they're gonna see it all the time here.
I'm gonna scan it.
Okay, right,
I'm
yeah, just go out in the lobby, and there's two kiosks out there. There's one, just as you open the door, there's one straight ahead,
okay.
and then there's one to the left.
Okay.
They're in cabins, you'll have to open the door.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so another thing was What she just gave me directions for was to use the kiosk in order to print out my bank statement. I told her that I don't have a source of income. So that right there kind of rules out the need for a bank statement. Like I told her, I was like, well, I have a debit card, like I was like, but there's nothing on it. I was like, it has a zero balance, this and that and any other. And she was like, we still need it. And I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. What you're going to end up finding is they were trying to throw something in the midst to send me away and have me come back on a different day. They didn't expect me to have everything that I needed with me. And that's not their address. I don't know whose address that is, but that's not theirs. They're just 1050. So now I'm waiting, and I end up waiting like 40 minutes, almost an hour.
So that's why I'm waiting so long. When I walked through, they weren't busy doing anything. That little, that elder that you just saw.
Heard.
2 things on this list that I don't need.
3.
Okay, I've been paused for about 5 minutes. Right now, the agents are saying no one wants to be the one that I report. The same motherfucker I'm about to talk to are the ones drinking my liquor. Okay, it's been about another 5 minutes. It's 1:33. I'm going to pause. Stop this recording and take it over. That's what happened last time. The administrator wasn't even coming out until I stopped recording. So I'm going to try that again. I don't know if you're paying any attention to that, but the manipulation of the door that I'm going through.
Just be a few more minutes, okay?
Okay. I didn't even see it check.
Okay, so she completely railroaded me. I didn't even get a chance to tell her. I was like, just going to be like, I know that there's no way for you to know exactly what time or how long they'll be. But, like, is there any way you could? There's no one in line before me. And she beat me to all that. I said, hello again. She went right in the computer, didn't say nothing to me, and said, it'll just be a couple more minutes. And I was like, okay. And I turned around and I sat back down.
One of the service providers just came out for his 2 o'clock appointment and took them back. And had so one of the service providers just came.
In that video, I also discussed the adverse reaction that he had to me. Like I said, it's in the eye and the gesture. They'll make a statement, but they always let me know that they know who I am. And he looks completely different. So anyhow, right around this time, they were beginning to deplete my battery too.
Yes, I've been doing good. Wait, can I get these everything? Camera, please. See? Alright, so you got a checklist this morning.
No, just a short while ago. I've been waiting for like 40 minutes.
I apologize for that, for sure. So, you have bank transactions 30 days from today's date.
Correct.
Alright. What source of income do you have?
None.
Okay. So let me see.
Have you been? It's been a long time.
It's been pretty good.
That's
Can't
good.
complain. It's a new year. Praise the Lord for that.
All right.
So, I ain't nothing like it. We always wish things be a little bit better, but
That's true.
it is what it is, ma'am. It is what it is. But yes, I've been doing good. And you?
Oh, well, I'm hanging. Hanging in there.
Listen,
I like to believe justice is around the corner, though, so.
just keep hanging. That's for sure.
Is it okay if I take one of these?
Absolutely. You're more than welcome. So let me have those bank transactions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. It was a 2021 calendar, planner, a very small handheld planner. Hold on, is that the right one? I think that's November.
This rush card November, yes. So, have you borrowed or any income given to you?
No, like literally, that was what I hung on to that stimulus check for about 8-9 months.
Okay. And you haven't received the latest one?
Correct.
And there's, you don't want to live in your household, correct?
Correct.
Let's see here.
Okay, so for some of you, you may think that that question was answered out of context, but you have to understand what's in hand. He's looking at a bank statement that I have no reason, no way of justifying having generated. So that's where it came from.
So what is your work status?
Unemployed.
Right, so are you looking to go back to work? You're still waiting for
I'm still looking.
So what's the unemployment? I mean, why aren't you receiving unemployment?
I never had a job. Okay, so he's one of the ones that's been told that I was working. They've been lying to a lot of these entities. They tell them that I'm working. They tell them that I'm not on foot. They tell them that I'm not experiencing any of the things, that they are not doing this to me. So they find out in this way.
Okay, that would make sense.
If you could have saw the look on his face. I did use that service you guys were offering, the Volunteers of America.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with them about 9 months.
Okay. Okay, so I think they're back up and running again. So you might want to reach out to them again.
I've been checking online.
Okay, good.
They aren't up and running. Or OMJ isn't, which is where they work out of.
Food utilities. Do you guys do anything for prepaid phones? Like if I use a card to. Okay, I didn't think so. So just food and utilities. What about a storage unit? Really? It wouldn't be considered rent?
No.
Oh wow. That's good to know. Glad I asked.
And your phone number again?
234-956-0872.
Stop doing
234
956
956.
0872.
So this 618 number is no longer.
Correct.
You're the only one living in your household.
Yes.
That address is.
315 Upland Avenue, Apartment U, and the zip there is 44301.
You have a vehicle.
No. It should have only been 2 transactions. Dollar Tree did something weird with my card. So what you see is a lot of error.
Okay, this is what he's looking at. And what they were doing was they were trying to hide a liquor purchase. They're suggesting that I don't drink alcohol. They're claiming that I'm in no condition to drink alcohol. Dollar Tree. I managed to check my account right away. I have not had a chance to dispute those because I don't have the library to use at my leisure. My one and only resource I don't have anymore. And believe it or not, that's what they've been banking on. I zoomed in on this because this has some details for Deetha that I don't want to disclose on this.
Have you guys operated the whole time the pandemic has been going on?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. I've not shut down one day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I didn't know that.
Yep. We have not shut down one day. So lots of other line that for me, please. Talk to me.
Yeah, this just came out from Frankie. He just added 3 new conditions to the presumptive list for agent loan. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. So let me see the utility.
As long as it has the account number, you'll be able to pull the current, correct?
Excuse me.
As long as it has the account number, you'll be able to pull the
I
current.
can't do either. So, ma'am,
I thought that's what the release was for.
the release is we had to send something to them.
Okay.
That's what the release is for. No, you can't use this or hiatus because of the actual deal.
So what you're seeing, the systems are separating themselves. You know what they used to have access to, they don't have access to anymore. That's how they separate themselves from what's been done, and try to keep from. You can imagine all the things that are going on with that.
Just like this. Or hiatus.
You said we can't pull it anymore.
No, I mean, you can go out to the
Like
lobby.
if we contacted them, like would they send it over? Or?
No.
Okay.
But you're gonna have to actually go online and print it out, or have them receive one in the mail.
I think I'll just wait on that Ohio Edison one then.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll pay for it when I get something.
Because there's an email address that is on there that you may want to try to go out to the lobby and at least try to print it out. See what down, it says H something here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Are you talking about the web page?
yeah, the HTTP.
That's not an email. Because normally if I can sign in, I could just print it out.
Yeah, you're gonna need to have that.
I always remember stuff like that too. I hate when that happens.
So you wanna move forward?
Yes.
Let me just see if we got any gift cards, so we still doing the,
I hope so. I could use it.
so we do have the gift cards.
Great.
You're not receiving food stamps?
Yes. What took place is the interview, the phone interview. I missed the phone interview, but I was in jail during that time. I had an assault case. So I took care of it. I have all that information if you want to see it. Like I literally got everything in time, so it wasn't by error on my own. Like I remedied it before the 31st of December. And I just haven't heard anything back from them.
Okay.
Would you like to see any of that?
Yes, please.
The reason I missed the appointment, the fax that shows it was sent. And that should be it. Real quick, one of the agents just screamed. He said that you're going to know, you, the viewers, are going to know that he's buying time for the agencies that are not going to be in the same headspace. We're talking so much. Talking about nonstop, lots of them throwing a fit. This is a problem.
Okay, so yes or no for number 5. Read all the instructions like you have done before. Then sign the date at the bottom of the full page, please.
I have a question for you.
Next page there for me. And then just fill in the information there for me. This is for the gift cards, but you can ask the question whenever you're ready. It's fine.
Okay, I was gonna say, I seen that you guys handle some legal fees. If I were doing a name change, would
We
you guys?
don't do any legal fees.
Really? I only asked because I saw it on the list. Okay.
I mean, you can try legal aid. They may be able to help you.
I just go ahead and keep this one. Will I get a copy of these or no?
Yes. And third one, I need for you to read, look over the what's allowable, and sign the back page.
Okay.
About to have to pause this video and cuss them the fuck out. Actually, I use tip. It's only 20, the tip amount.
Love that you called out.
Okay, that works too. Okay, so notice what he just said. We're going to get you caught up here. He's looking at the amount that says 190. I didn't end up getting my copy before I left. So, when they pay that amount, Dominion does not apply it to the PIP amount and do not give you a credit. So, there's no such thing as getting you caught up. They will make sure you have a zero balance for that month and everything else. They just taking it up. Dominion steals. I don't know how much you caught up what I was saying. I had my eyes closed while I was talking. But I was saying that that amount, there's no such thing as getting caught up. When you pay anything more than the PIP amount, Dominion steals. Like, if you give them more money than what you have for the program that you're using, they just take it. They don't apply it. They give you a zero balance for that month and that month only. They don't apply it to future bills like Ohio Edison does. So last time I used this service in 2019, I had months, like 4 or 5 months of credit applied to Ohio Edison. To Dominion, I had nothing I had to pay. So later on, so you see how he just made it seem like, he was trying to do something in my favor to catch me up, or, kind of get me ahead in a way. When I ask him to make sure he notes it, to apply it to the PIP amount, he says they can't do it. That works too. When did you guys start using Giant Eagle? Do you still work?
No, we use Ag.
Okay.
We still have. Ag.
Okay.
We still have.
Mm.
So Acme, and what location are we using?
Is that Darwin?
I'm sorry, what again?
Is that Darwin Road?
No, there's no.
Okay, he's looking at the Acme list or whatever. So I asked him, is that Darrell Road? Because that's the Acme I'm talking about. What do you have?
We have Manchester, these, gift cards, it doesn't matter. You can do it where you want. I mean, for Acme.
Okay.
Gift cards, it does not matter.
Okay.
So,
So that's
it doesn't matter.
Mhm. Mm.
You change your first name?
Yes, I'm actually about to change it back this month. It's caused me a lot of problems. I've always had, and now I'm on foot. You know, like it's never had a problem. I got a skill set, but now I'm being gang stalked. Have you ever heard of that? Gang stalking? It's a covert operation that's run by government agencies, and the goal of the torture program is isolation and destitution. So they orchestrate a lot of crimes like that are difficult to prove and law won't recognize them. You know, like there's no uniform code, commercial code for being attacked with science. So it's known throughout nations. You know, the name has been established and stuff. But that's why I said I believe justice is around the corner. I've put a lot of things in place. So literally, it all started as soon as I changed my name.
I've never heard of it.
It's vast, like the details, all the elements of it is really vast. I could never cram it into a couple of minutes.
It's online.
Yeah.
It's called Gang.
Gang, like a gang.
Okay.
Stalking. The name doesn't know justice. I don't know why they call it that. Yeah, that's why occasionally you guys see me. Like, if it weren't for that, I'd never to come here.
Ever, bitch. Not him. I'm talking to these agents. They getting on my motherfucking nerves. Harassing the fuck out of me right now and attacking my motherfucking back and neck. He pulls up the definition on a pad, a tablet.
This is like Gang. G-A-M-E.
No, G-A-N-G.
Oh, okay.
If you ever get on YouTube, you can type in what is gang stalking. I have a video, and it's very detailed. It talks about the Constitution and you know how all these matters tie in together.
Check that out. So, just curiosity, because of the name change, how is the government um, attacking? I guess is maybe a good word to use.
Well, the name change is tied to legal fiction. I don't know if you know, but we're like a product of, you know, the biotechnology
matrix, and then we have the legal name system. That's why if we get in trouble and we get charged with something, that's not really law. We're not being charged for breaking a law. We're being charged for breaking a uniform commercial code. They're not in a position to practice law. So if you the name change, how it ties into it is it's all about reserving rights. So our entire lives, birth certificates, which is a bond, you know, we've entered into these contracts that hold us to certain statutes.
Okay.
And if I reserve my rights to them, I can get out of these statutes. But I talk about matters that compromise the Constitution and the Bible. I talk about eugenics, which is DNA theft. You know, it was the black man who created a white man, and but I go into detail, and I talk about how I'm affected by that.
And you said I can go on YouTube and do what now?
My name is Tequila Oliver on YouTube, and the first thing that you'll see is my featured video, and it's like an introduction to my content, but like literally from there you'll know where to go. It'll point you in the right direction. I could not think to tell him that it suffers from internet censorship. Good. Hopefully you'll, you know, find it informative and spread the word. I mean, it's really bad.
That's definitely a lot of things.
Come to mind.
You know, injustice. You know, that we see. So,
Have you ever heard of do you know how physics works?
do I know how physics work?
Yes. Do you know that it's the explanation behind magic?
What again now?
Magic?
No.
Okay, so you probably know that physics, you know, is the ability to manipulate matter. You know, make something hard soft, something soft hard. Breaking things down to particles. But it's also speed, velocity, time versus distance, you know. So that's the explanation behind magic. That's one of the elements. If you go to the police department and you tell someone that your devices are being stolen with magic, they're going to try to call you crazy. So, and you think by the 13th device, it'd be obvious, but with APD, it has not, and that's a form of isolation. They make sure I can't communicate, you know, all kind of things.
Wow. So, how large is this network that you're part of?
You said how large is network? What network?
I mean, I'm assuming it's just more than you that is speaking out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a group of individuals. They call themselves targeted individuals, and as opposed to organized in some cities and some states. You know,
Correct.
occasionally, you know, they may protest or something. However, the elements that are associated with their claims, mine are far beyond that. Like, they do way worse things to me. They do the worst things to me. Like, if you see some of the photos on my YouTube page, you'd be disgusted. You know, I'm talking about the ability to make it look like I'm in a domestic relationship and I've never been hit a day in my life. You know, this is the stuff the government's doing. Remote harassment. You've probably heard of that. Is people that hear voices. It's disrespectfully noted. It's hearing voices in your head.
Right.
Called schizophrenia. You know, in the mental umbrella. They call it schizophrenia. Those are government agents that are like remotely harassing people. In my case, they're talking to me about what they're going to do before they do it. So, you know, there's things that you can put in place. There's something like that. He asked me how was I going to get justice, for what was taking place to me. With not to me. Well, that's not such a bad way to put it. Into question, how do you prove it? Time and dated events, that's evidential,
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff that I use my social media platform for, is to show how these things are playing out.
So what is the plan for that to overcome or defeat what's going on, if even possible?
Yeah. For me, it's the legal measures. Like I had to look at all the elements and separate what there is a uniform commercial code for from what there was not. And, part of that, like I do a lot of drawing awareness type stuff. So, it kind of blends the two. If one comes into question, you'll find out about the other.
Right.
And realize that these are all elements. Complaints, formal complaints. I write a lot of formal complaints. The one, I wrote 6 agencies last year. 6 government agencies for the first time. Because normally it's like anyone that I have a problem with as far as covert professionals go. Those that are in place to kind of mistreat and make sure these things don't get out.
So you wrote to these companies expressing what?
The elements, what was being done. All my complaints are online. Like literally every complaint I've ever wrote, you can find it on my Facebook page, on my social media pages, point to one another. So, and it's so vast. This has been going on. I've been fighting it for March will be 4 years. Yeah. But they took everything the ability to change things in the system. So misapply a payment, make sure a payment doesn't post at all. I had storage units. I had 2 3 Series BMWs before I went to California. I sold one. They stole the other to make sure I'd be on foot.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
But about that complaint, I was going to say, after I wrote that complaint, the China released coronavirus.
So you said there's light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yes, for sure.
So what kind of light are you referring to if you're able to?
Justice, the extermination of government agencies. We're not supposed to operate under a government. The government is the Antichrist.
I don't know about that, but there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with the government.
I know it.
Let me get these cards. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so what happens after that is, he comes back with the cards and he's doing a few things on the computer, and after a long, about a 5 or 6 minutes of silence, I asked him, I said, when you hear the word DNA, or when you hear DNA, what comes to mind? And he told me what he thought. And I told him that I wanted to tell him something, like I said, I went to school for psychology for a little bit. And I said, I come across a couple of don't know what to call them. So they're jamming my thoughts. But anyhow, I told him, I said Francis Gallen and Charles Darwin. And I said, DNA is a matter of characteristics and traits, those things that can be tested for. The government has access to binary code, like literally everything that makes us up, down to everything. Like I said something else, obviously. But, and, oh, they are tearing me up. Anyhow, I'm going to make this real short because what I don't want to do is I don't want to get what we said wrong. So, and they're jamming my thoughts really, really bad. He told me that he thought about something like a model, something that could be traced back, and along with something else that was suspect. And I told him what I knew it to be, and I also told him about my bloodline, the human model. And we kind of, I talked about scientific scholars and how they change the meaning of things and the way that society views them, and how they changed what DNA was and wanted people to look at it was with what it having to do with where you're from. And it has nothing much to do at all with where you're from. It has everything to do with characteristics and traits. Those things that are good and bad about you, those things that are positive and negative about you, those things that are favorable or unfavorable about you. And I also talked about, us all having one common ancestor. And that's how I got to the whole mitochondrial stuff. So look, anyhow, the end. We briefly spoke about DNA, and during that time and in that moment, I like I said, I hate to turn what can be explained in 3 words into 20. And that's what happens with remote neuromonitoring, when your thought processes are being interfered with. Some people can't hold a discussion for stuff like that. Like I managed to. Anyhow, this bill that you're looking at, this is the one that I didn't get help with. The amount that was due in December was paid. I brought in old utility bills. So I brought in the month of December, those bills that had been paid for January, just because, pretty much as a reference. And like I said, I didn't get a copy. I asked for a copy. Not when you heard me ask for copies of that other stuff. I specifically asked for a copy of that bill. And eventually, I guess when I get around to having transportation, the bus, because I can't get there by foot, or I could, but it's too cold. I have to be feeling a little motivated. I'll get those copies. That's the end of this video.